If you're applying for a job, especially in management consulting, you've probably heard that you're gonna have to do some networking. Well, how do you do networking in a way that's time efficient, but also at the same time doesn't make you seem like a fake person? You'll learn that in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Davis, and I'm a former Bain consultant, recruiter, and the founder of My Consulting Offer. Here at My Consulting Offer, we've helped over 800 people land their dream jobs in management consulting, and that includes helping them navigate the process of how to network and how to use their networking skills to land an interview and get them closer to landing an offer. All right, let's get started. When I was recruiting for consulting, when I was trying to get interviews at places like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, or Bain, I didn't like the word networking. To me, the word networking just seemed so slimy. It seemed like I had to be someone fake. I was trying to ask someone to give me a referral or someone to just talk to me to increase my chances of getting an interview. But after going through the process, after being on the other side of the table when I was working at Bain, and often just coaching over 800 people to their offers, I realized that networking doesn't have to be slimy. It doesn't have to be fake, and can actually benefit everyone involved. And there's two reasons for this. The first thing is that it allows you to get to know the firm's culture. In fact, there's a lot of clients that I've coached over the years who, once they started actually networking and learning more about the culture of a firm, they realized, actually, I don't want to spend time at this firm. I wouldn't want to apply. And then they might find another firm they didn't think about, but because they talked to someone who worked at the firm, they realized, wow, this firm's amazing. I actually want to work here. So it allows you to get to know the firms that you don't want to apply to and also the firms that you do. And on the reverse end, for the person that you're talking to, the fact that they took the time to talk to you means that they actually want to talk to you. In fact, for a lot of consultants, taking the time out of their day away from their casework, around for everything else that they're doing, to be able to talk to a prospective aspiring consultant is actually one of the best things we get to do, because we're reminded of the enthusiasm of what it meant when we were on the other side trying to get our jobs in management consulting. So in fact, when I was at Bain, even if I had a long day and I had a couple people who reached out to me who wanted to talk to me, I was really happy about that because I could see the smiles in their faces. I can see the enthusiasm they had. And it reminded me, you know what? Even on my toughest days at Bain, that there's someone, in fact, 99% of the world probably wishes they were in my shoes. So it becomes a win-win. They learn more about the firm, I learn about them, and I'm reminded of how great it is to be in my position. And on top of that, when they do get an interview and get an offer and they start at the firm, I'm even happier because now I know someone at the firm. So when you are networking to learning about the firm, if you do it really well, the end result could be that this person might end up giving you a referral. For example, during my time at Bain, if I felt strongly about a certain candidate, I would actually make sure that when it came time to review the applications, I went in and I made sure to fight for this certain candidate or to put in a referral if I wasn't the one reviewing their application, so that people knew that, hey, this is someone I actually want to see at Bain. And this happens all the time for all the consulting firms as well. But you're only able to do this when you actually start doing some networking. I'll talk later about how to network in an authentic way. But before we talk about that, we should answer the question of who should you network with? Well, there's a lot of people here. So just to give you a list of potential people you can reach out to, consider the following: friends who work at the firms that you're targeting, alumni from your college, your business school, people in your interest groups. For example, I mentioned Toastmasters. For example, if you're in an interest group like a basketball league or YMCA, tap into those. Next, if you're already out of school, is think about colleagues who you've worked with before who are now working in consulting. And you can also reach out to people who are representatives of the firm, because oftentimes these firms are hosting networking events, whether in person or online. So make sure you want to check out for those. So that's just to give you a list of people you could start off with. But let's say that you compiled a list and there's a lot of people to choose from. How do you actually figure out where should you invest your time? Well, here are some of the factors that I would keep in mind. For example, someone who's a senior partner is probably going to have a lot more say in the recruiting process than a fresh analyst who just graduated and just started the firm a month ago. Second is the tenure of the person at a firm. For example, you might reach out to a senior partner, but if this senior partner was hired within the last couple months from another firm versus, let's say, a manager who's been there at 10 years, the manager is probably going to know a lot more people and a lot more recruiters and a lot more people who they put in the good word for you. Third is to think about the depth of your relationship here. Because ultimately, if you ask this person to put in a referral for you, getting an analyst who writes you a 2-page recommendation letter versus a manager who writes 1 sentence, the analyst with 2 pages is going to be a lot more powerful than just the 1 sentence from the manager. Fourth is their current employment status. So someone who's currently working at the firm is going to be able to easily reach out to recruiting versus someone who has left the firm. Then, if you still have people after you filter all these out, is think about where they work. So people who are working at the office that you're applying to are going to have a lot more say than someone who's out of town. So for example, if you're applying for Bain Atlanta, networking with people at Bain Atlanta is going to be a lot more helpful than people who are in Bain Dallas. So when should you start networking? One of my mentors told me that the best time to dig a well is before you're thirsty. So if you're thinking about applying to consulting in the future, it's better to build those relationships now. And if you're in the process, well, you're thirsty now. So you want to build the well either way. Well, how should you do this? Well, this depends on your situation. If you're currently a student who's in school, oftentimes you'll be able to attend events, especially if you're at what's called a target school, which means that firms will come to you. Let's say you're at UC Berkeley. Firms like McKinsey host a lot of events where you can just show up, meet people. So networking becomes a lot easier. But if you're not at a target school, let's say you're at a non-target school where firms don't apply, or you're out of school, you have to put in a little bit more effort. But you can use the same techniques I talked about earlier, which is go through your network, figure out who you know, and at worst, what you can do is send an email out to someone who you want to connect with. And when you send an email out, I recommend 3 things. First, find someone you can actually connect with. For example, let's say that this person went to your same school, or you have a similar interest, such as a similar background, came from the same high school, came from the same state, had the same major, because people who share a similar interest to you are more likely to respond back and want to meet with you than someone who you have no connections with. And the third thing is you want to keep in mind how many people you reach out to. So if you do perform cold outreach, there's a spectrum. On one end, you reach out to no one, which I want to avoid. The other end is you reach out to every single person. In fact, there's a coach on our team, when she was the head recruiter for her office at McKinsey, one of the stories that she would share is that one day she got a bunch of forwarded emails from consultants who said that they've been outreached by a certain candidate. In fact, she received like 70 of these from her office of only about 100 people. So this candidate obviously just went through the whole LinkedIn and reached out to everyone. This candidate actually was rejected because they didn't exercise good communication skills. You want to avoid the extreme of emailing everyone, but you also want to avoid the other extreme, which is emailing no one. So there's a sweet spot in the middle here. And keep in mind, in all networking, it's like dating. It's like a long-term game. You wouldn't just go and meet someone on Tinder and then ask them to marry you before you even met them. So you wouldn't want to ask for a referral before you even met this person or on the first date. So you want to make sure that you're building the relationship over time. And there's a bunch of ways that you can do this. First, you want to respect their time. So a consultant is often busy. They're willing to help you, but be flexible. So for example, when they say, yeah, I would love to talk to you, make yourself available. Like, it doesn't matter if it's in the morning, it doesn't matter if it's in the evening. In fact, I have a client, when he was working, one of the techniques that he had was that even though he was working, he said, I'm willing to talk to you anywhere between midnight and 11 p.m. So basically he's saying, hey, I'm going to be up all these times to talk to you. And of course, they wouldn't make him go there at 3 a.m. or anything like that. But he made the point that he was super flexible, and this allowed him to open doors with a lot of consultants, a lot of partners. In fact, he ended up getting about 11 referrals to 11 firms and ended up getting offers at 10 of these firms before deciding on one. So this is a very good technique by being flexible. Second, keep them in the loop. So a lot of times people ask, well, Davis, how do I actually stay in touch after the first meeting? Well, oftentimes they'll have advice for you. For example, hey, you should probably talk to this person, or hey, you should probably go to a website or attend this event. After you do it, just tell them that, hey, I took your advice. I can't tell you about all the times when I gave advice as a consultant for them to do something, go to an event or whatever, and they never did it. So how do I feel when they want a second meeting with me and they didn't take my advice the first time? I don't feel so good. But the people who actually took my advice, I'm more willing to give a second chat with, because I can tell that they're actually taking action. So that's a quick way for you to be able to keep people in the loop. And eventually, when you do apply, you can just mention to them, hey, I'm applying. Would you feel comfortable giving a referral? And if they don't, just leave it be. Don't force it on them, because no one likes to be in that position, and it makes you look very bad when you're pressuring someone to write a referral for you. It will destroy the relationship. So make a nice ask, but don't be forceful about it. And one thing to keep in mind is that networking is a part of the recruiting process for consulting firms, but it's not the only one. So if you're spending all your time networking and none of it preparing for the interviews, even if you land referrals and you cannot pass the interviews, you won't get the job offer. So don't neglect the other parts of the recruiting process. All right, so now you know how networking works in the recruiting process for consulting firms and how to do it in a way that's genuine to you without being fake. If you have additional questions that we didn't cover in this video that you want to learn the answer to, just leave a comment below and I'll reply back. And if you're serious about becoming a management consultant and you want help landing interviews and passing those interviews, I'd love to help you. Here at my consulting offer, we're a team of former McKinsey, Bain, and BCG recruiters and interviewers, and all we do is we help people land jobs in management consulting. In fact, we've helped over 800 people at a 90% success rate. That means 9 out of 10 people who work with us land at least one offer, and I'd love for you to be our next success story. All you have to do is click the link below and schedule a free call with my team. And one of the benefits of being part of our program is that we're actually gonna make referrals and introductions for you. And one of the best parts about our program is that you're gonna get access to all the alums. You actually get introductions to the firms that we partner with. So networking becomes super easy for you. And networking and landing referrals becomes a less time-consuming part, and you can focus on landing the offer, which will also help you with. But you don't have to take my word for it. Actually hear from Charmaine, who actually used our program and within a few weeks got a referral from BCG. In fact, she has a video where she walks you through the process of how she got her referral to BCG and how she landed that offer. I'll include her video somewhere next to my head so you can actually watch her video and her journey, so she walks you through how she did her networking. All right, I'll see you in the next video.